Welcome to this information sharing video with me, MrSealyp. Okay, what's this all about then? Premium tips, solutions and problems. We will see. This is information sharing. This is a few things that I've discovered, a few things other people have discovered, and some people have messaged me to offer solutions. A massive shout out to Tiago and to Michael. I know other people have. Those guys were Johnny on the spot, I mean straight on top. First problem that giants are aware of. If you are having issues with premium expansion on the map you're on, you can't get the crop types, you can't get anything coming up. If it's just not working, I'm not talking about whether it downloads or not, whether you've installed it or not. I'm talking about once you've downloaded it, once you've installed it, you go onto the map you're playing on and you can't get any of the crop types in like that. The wholesale sell point by Zodlzocht apparently is causing a mod conflict with the premium expansion, premium edition. There may be other mods, but that is one that they are aware of. Michael, when he messaged me, said as soon as he uninstalled that, it was fine. He went onto his map, premium expansion, carrots, parsnips, red beet words, absolutely fine. So first, top tip, bit of advice, a problem, but there is a solution, is the wholesale sell point by Zodlzocht. You may need to remove that if you're having issues. If you're still having issues, you might need to go onto Giants forum for help and advice. Second top tip and piece of advice. Now, I think when I edited my root crop video, I think I chopped out the bit. I accidentally dropped a load of carrots on the floor, and I used a bucket to pick them up, which you can do, of course you can. But top tip and piece of advice. Again, this was sent to me by Tiago. Driver 53 Gaming has done a video on this, so I'm not gonna jump all over it. But to say this, one potential problem, and I highlighted this on the crop video, the new crop type video, is yes, you can hire workers, but only if you drive alongside them. On the on the bits of equipment that do have capacities, the harvesters that have boxes and the harvester that has the tow behind harvester that has a capacity, you can hire a worker, they'll run until they're full, no problem at all. Any of the other ones you need to run alongside. But regardless of that, which I think unfortunately for something like this is a, because I thought, my first thought with this was, make sure whatever you do, L1, R1, go into your help menu, top left, where it says unload here, put unload here on. Regardless, have that turned on. That's the top tip. Because when you harvest, if you're running alongside it and you miss, you drive too far forward, or when your trailer's full and you pull away, if there's still carrots, parsnips, red beet in the harvester, it will drop them over the side and they will disappear. If you put unload here on, they will appear on the ground. Like I say, I'm not... Go and watch Driver 53 Gaming's video on that, because there's an extension onto that, something that I'd already thought of to try, but in a different way. It'll make sense in a minute. So if I turn on the harvester, drop my header and go forward now, once this starts to harvest, if I make a mistake, if I run too far forward, too far back, or if I just want to run like this, it will put them on the ground. They won't just disappear. So that's the top tip piece of advice. How you then go about collecting them, whether it's buckets and stuff like that, that's entirely up to you. You might not want to put them all on the ground. Now, the other thing that I found a little bit bizarre with this is that Giants didn't update any of, well, I say any, some of the equipment that I thought they might have done. For example, if we go to our equipment and we go to beet technology, here we've got the Roper Mouse 5. Now that will pick up sugar beet, which I know in real life it does. That hasn't been updated, so it will pick stuff up off the ground. And the other one was under miscellaneous, the Navarro mouse. Now that's never picked up root crops, but I thought that might have been amended maybe to pick crops up from the ground, but it hasn't. So there are buckets, but there are some other solutions. So that top tip, like I say, Driver 53 Gaming, big shout out, go and check out his channel, and go and check out that video. Obviously after you finish watching this one, don't go and do that now. Next tip, piece of advice, warning, however you want to look at it. If you are using pieces of equipment that require the boxes. So if you've decided I want to go down the box route, I like it, I like the idea of it, that's fantastic. You can use pallet forks to pick them up and that kind of stuff, no problem at all. But if you don't like using pallet forks, you've got a lot of these to move around and you want to make things quicker. I've used these before. I wanted to double check just to make sure they still work. And if you're not aware of them, they are right here. We have got this. This is part of the big bag and support package by Centro Sul. And then we've got the big bag handler, which is part of the CSZ Pack by ModPassion. Both of these will work. You will find them, well, the CSZ Pack under either skid steer loaders, telehandlers, wheel loaders or front loaders. But if I go to my front loader tools and we scroll across to just here, there's the big bag winch. So that's part of the big bag and support package by Centro Sul. And then the big bag handler is just there, part of the CSZ pack. So if like pallet forks and stuff are not your thing, these will work, these do work. Which brings me on to the next piece of advice and the next tip. So as you can see, boom, pick them up, away we go. Everybody's happy. Now, as far as the boxes and pallets go, say boxes and pallets, palleted boxes, however you want to refer to them, if you decide you're going to go down the route of buying them from pallets, which is where you can find them, just there, and you buy them, they're empty. You then load them onto whichever piece of equipment you're using that uses them. That's great, they fill up, and then you can sell them. So you sell the crop and the pallet goes with it. As you will see, sell point, empty, pallet goes. Brilliant. If you've got an abundance of these and they're empty, if you've done your crop, you've done your harvest, you've got a load left over, you cannot get rid of these unless you fill them up. So you need to put something in them before they will disappear. If I put that now just over here, it won't sell just as a pallet. If I go into here and we scroll down to owned items, if I go to miscellaneous and scroll across, they're not showing in miscellaneous, they're not showing as owned items, even though I've bought them. So you have to put something in these. You've got to put crop in them. Take them to a sell point, then they will disappear. Otherwise they will end up eating into your your slot count, your amount of pallets you can have on a map, that kind of thing. So that's something I would suggest. If you've got some left over and you can't get rid of them and you're wondering how to get rid of them, you just need to put some crop in them. Turn that off, which brings me on to the next top tip piece of advice. Now, if you want to do the productions that come with the premium expansion, but you don't want to go to all the hassle of having to do the crops, which for me, that's the whole point of it, isn't it? But if, like me, if you're doing a test map, if you want to do a load of testing, if you want to test out, or you just want to run them, however you want to go about it, the productions, you'll find under productions, under factories, and the new ones are in here. If you've watched my other videos I've put out on these, you will have seen these. We've got the potato processing plant, that's fine, that uses potatoes. Preserved food factory uses the new stuff, and the soup factory uses the new stuff. But I usually use, and we'll go back into here, if we go along to containers, I use the multi-fruit buying station, which is 82 Studio, on my test map for buying in bulk when I'm doing mod reviews, when I'm doing testing, that kind of stuff. But you can't buy, at the moment, it'll probably get updated, you can't buy carrots, parsnips or red beet from those. So again, shout out to Tiago. The Easy Way Station and Fruit Shop by Mantrid, this one just here. Under build mode, this you'll find under, is it tools? Yes, under tools, just there. You've got one that charges you 10% over the price if you want to make it harder. You've got a 10% discount or a 30% discount. Now, I don't know if it's just on Western Wilds. They cost more depending on what the discount you want. So if you want to buy in bulk, this will work. You can do your carrots, you can do parsnip, and you can do red beet from here, which I will show you. So another top tip, piece of advice. Again, thank you to Tiago. I'm not saying there aren't other buy anything silos or buy points that won't do it, but this one definitely does. As you can see, carrots, parsnips, and then we go a bit further. Where was it? Was it further back the other way? There we go, and red beet. But here's the thing. Now, like I say, this might just be on Western Wilds. I don't know if you're going to find the same thing, and I don't know if this will get amended, but watch. I'm filling But at the moment, bottom right, it's not showing that my trailer's filling. Don't panic. If you start to do that and that happens, when it's full, it will then come up with it being full. But if you notice, I haven't been charged anything. It's not making the noise that my money's going down, which is curious, to say the least. Again, this might just be on this map for some reason. I don't know why it would be. Once that's full, 150,000 litres in there. I've got the larger trailer, so it's now showing bottom right, but I didn't get charged for it. So if you want to buy in bulk, that's the one you want to look at. Like I say, there may be others, but that one does work. The Easy Way Station and Fruit Shop by Mantrid. So if you want to get it in bulk and you just want to run the productions, we happen to do the harvesting portion of that, that's absolutely fine as well. Now, as far as storage goes, a lot of people have been talking about where can we store it. I haven't been through every single silo in game. This was the first one I checked and tested, so another top tip piece of advice. It's just going to be a case of trial and error, I guess, with a lot of them, but I know this definitely works. This is the Farm Supplies Production Multi-Fruit Silo by OmaTana. Now, if this one works, I don't see any reason why any of the other multi-fruit silos by OmaTana, and she's got a few in various different packs, won't work. This holds 10 million litres, and this will... I think I've already got... Did I put parsnip in it? What did I put in it already? I've already put carrots in it, so I've got 150,000 litres of carrots in there already. So it will work. So if you want to do bulk storage, if you don't want to do what I've done in these two silos, which of course you can do as well. Let's back that up and unload. So my red beet's going in, no problem at all. You can of course use bunkers like this, and you can put your crop in loose. So I've got my parsnips in this one, I've got carrots, and I've got red beet a bit further down. So you can store them like this, but if you want to store them in a silo, I know for a fact the OmaTana ones work. This one definitely does. No reason at all why her other ones won't. So that's the Farm Supplies Production Multi-Fruit Silo by OmaTana. If I swing around and come back underneath, we should be able to unload or load back in, start filling my red beet. Or where is it? All my carrots, and then if I go a bit further, if I've got parsnips in there, but whatever else I've got in there, I absolutely can. Happy days. Next top tip. Now this comes off of the back of the Driver 53 video. I had already thought about it, but for doing it like this. If you are getting your crop off the field and you are storing in bulk on the floor like this, which is a bit more realistic if you're going down that more realistic route, but then obviously what I'm going to show you now isn't necessarily realistic, but which then you can shovel these out with various different buckets and stuff in game and that kind of thing. But you can use this. So this is the Lizard Forage Pickup by FluffyMods. I've used this on various different Let's Plays for picking up normally straw swaths on contracts. It works absolutely brilliant. It picks up all sorts of stuff. It's fantastic. Now, obviously, that coming in through there, going up through the chute and being thrown out, a little bit like a forage harvester, wouldn't be particularly great for your crops, but it does work. That's what I was going to say. It does work, which I'll just show you. That you'll find... We go up to our tools, that's under belt systems. So just out on the end there, the forage pickup is where you'll find it under belt systems. Start the engine on this, I'll hook up to this. So if you want to speed up your process of taking things out of your silos, your clamps, wherever you put them, if I turn that on, drop it down, so if you want to clear out your clamp, your silo quicker, if you need to do a quick delivery, you've got to get to a train station before the train leaves, you want to really speed things up, this works. Now the other aspect of this, so this is what I had already thought of, and I thought when I do my video, this is what I'm going to show. And then obviously, as you can imagine, the bit I showed you just a minute ago, where you dump the crop on the ground when you're harvesting, yes, exactly. So that's that. So the next thing that you can use is this. This works really well, and I've used this before on Let's Plays as well, but again, you may not have seen them, you may not know about this. This is the Grimme SL8022 Quantum and TC816 Autoload by Dr.Drulia. Now we do have things like this already under belt systems. So we've got this set here, but these ones, the standard in-game ones, don't pick up from the ground. I'm surprised that wasn't updated either. Considering it does potatoes and sugar beet already, why would that not have been updated to do the new stuff? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's like by the by. Come across to here. This is the pack. So that one there, that one can also be bought. If you go for the 40 kilometers per hour one, you can actually drive that like a vehicle. So rather than go at 3 miles an hour, that can hoon around the map. So you don't have to hook up to a trailer if you don't want to. You can drive it. So if you want to unload your clamps a little bit quicker, again, this is a little bit more realistic, I think, than doing it with the other one. This was the other thought I had, and it works really well. So we're coming to there now, to our carrots. If I make sure I'm on, yep, so make sure when you go like that, if it says unload here, make sure you've got it on unload here. So if you've got a trailer underneath it, or you just want to move it from A to B and tip on the ground, I will just show you just tipping it on the ground. But you can obviously, if you put a trailer underneath it, you load into a trailer. If I now turn on conveyor belt, it will work with the new crop types. I like that. I've used that a lot. It's a brilliant bit of kit. That's the Grimme SL8022 Quantum and TC816 Autoload by Dr.Drulia. Right, now we move on to a potential problem. So this, as the top tips and advice and, you know, various different things you can use, things that do work, things that, you know. This is a potential problem, and I'm doing some testing at the moment to try to find a solution because I don't know if there is one. So I'm going to put I'm setting up for my testing as my test map, so I will have these crops in the ground. But I found when I did my video the other day on my crops, something I missed and didn't look at. I generally, when I do my harvests and my fields and my crops and stuff, I will finish doing a harvest, I will put a layer of fertilizer down, I will then cultivate, plough, whatever it is I need to do to that field, and then I'll put my second fertilising state on. Or, as I've done with this one, 2 fertilising states down in one go on the field before I've done anything to it. So this has been ploughed, but if we go into here, you'll see I've got 2 fertilising states on there. I'm good to go. I've always done that with my crops, no problem at all. And if you see on this test plot from my previous video, I've got a dark blue strip down the side there. So this plot here, I did exactly the same thing. 2 lots of fertiliser on it, so that's this strip over here. Then I used the hiller, the ridger. Then I planted my crop, in this case parsnip. But when it grew, it's showing here fertilised 4%, 3%, in places 0%, yield bonus plus 35. It doesn't make any sense. If I go back to here, I've got a crop in here. We go back to here, there's our growth, it's ready to harvest. Parsnip, and that was double fertilised, but once I put the ridging in and then did the seeding, I lost my fertilising states. They just disappeared. So I'm not getting maximum yield from these at all, which seems a bit peculiar. Now, unless, like soybean, but I'm not running precision farming, because I thought, oh yeah, I suppose with soybean, they produce their own nitrogen, so you wouldn't need to. But if you do soybean on a normal map, you still need to fertilise them. So this puzzled me. So what I'm going to do, I've done one strip here, which I haven't fertilised yet. This I've just done the ridging. So I've done the ridging. I'm now going to fertilise it. Then I will seed. This one I've fertilised first. I'm going to ridge it. I'm going to seed it. This one I think is going to turn out just like that one over there. That'll have no fertilising state on it. Although that first bit's saying 50% because I had it on the wrong setting. If I come a bit further, there we go. Fertilised 100%. So at the moment, that's fertilised. It's good to go. This one, I'm going to ridge I'm going to seed and then I'm going to fertilise. Because I'm wondering whether or not in doing the seeding it's for some reason, or it's the ridging that's negating the fertilising state. So what I'm curious to see is, as soon as I do the ridging on here, will I lose that fertilising state? So it could be the ridging that's doing it. It's changing the field state, which means if you're doing these crop types, and again that's why I'm testing it, I'm going to ridge, I'm going to seed, then I'm going to fertilise. Do I need to fertilise after seeding? Which I've never had to do before, but we'll double check. So I'm going to see you in a minute once I've put all these in, and we'll see if any of them have changed. Then we'll grow the crop and we'll see what's happened then. So this is a potential problem, and I'm trying to find a solution for on this video. Pop quiz, hot shots. So this strip was the one that I haven't done anything to yet. So ridged and now seeded. And here's the weird thing. I haven't fertilised that one yet, but in seeding, the ridging I'd already done, the seeding has given me one fertilising state. Now if I jump into my seeder, I've only got seed, got no fertiliser. So in running the seeder over, after ridging, I've gained a fertilising state, which is why it was going darker, which is curious. The strip that I had already fertilised but hadn't ridged yet, because I thought maybe it's the ridging that's getting rid of the fertilising state. If I go on to here, this has now been ridged and it's still saying 100% fertilised, and that top end is saying 50% because, like I said, made a bit of a gaff. So this now needs seeding. This one I still haven't seeded yet, but this was ridged, then fertilised, then we're going to seed. And again, this is still showing it's 100%, we're all good. So I've now just got to set the seeder off. I'm assuming it's in the growing. It's because it just seems weird. I'm going to set this off. I need to overlay a little bit because I didn't go completely straight on these fields. So you see it's going dark, and you can see zoomed in there. It does go darker, which implies it is fertilising while it's going, but it's got no fertiliser. It's all just seed, which I'm not knocking it, that's fantastic. If you get a fertilising state without having any fertiliser, that's brilliant. A bit strange, but it is working. So I'm going to hop out now and just double check this. Yeah. Fertilised 100%. 100%, 100%, 100%. So this one had fertiliser down first, then ridged, now I'm seeding, fertilised 0%. How weird. Yeah, it's definitely that that's doing it. If I go back onto here, you'll see, look. So my fertilising state is gone now. So, bit of advice. Bit of advice. Don't fertilise your field first. Then do your ridging and your sowing. Because it seems to be it's the sowing that's doing it. This one, as I said, I hadn't done anything to. I've ridged, I've sown. In sowing, it's added a fertilising state, which means I'm just going to have to put one more on. So I'm going to try that next, actually. I'm going to get the fertiliser spreader down, run the fertiliser spreader over, and that should give me a second fertilising state. So what I'm expecting to see now, but that's weird. Why then, at that top section, that's what it is. It's because the sower, because the planter is adding a fertilising state, because this already had two fertilising states on, it's going over and saying, hang on a minute, I've got to add a fertilising state. So it's removing the original fertilising states and adding another one. Because that top section that only had one fertilising state on, it's put a second on. So it's adding it on where it needs it, but on this section here where it already had two, it's saying, well, hang on, I can't do this, I need to add a fertilising state. So it's removing them rather than adding one. Just be very careful. Yeah, I would say don't, if you're going to be using these, don't fertilise first. Do your ridging, do your planting, then fertilise after. I will check on this one as well, because that's got to be done next. I'm assuming the same thing's going to happen there. We're going to lose our fertilising states. So what I need to do now, let's run this over here, and we should get a second fertilising state, which means I can turn this down to 1 application rate. Then I'll let them grow, and hopefully, because I thought maybe it was in the growing, I've got my oh, I need to put, bear with me, I need to put some manure on it. Right, so my manure's going down, single application rate, because as I said, the planter's already put down 1 application for me for fertiliser, and as you can see, we're getting our second. So, and I've got my seeder, my planter going on the final strip, and as you can see, it's taking off the fertilising state. So that end one that was ridged first, then fertilised, that planter, not liking it. I guess potentially, because I had it on double application rate, if you ridged and then did a single application rate, because the planter is putting an application of fertiliser on itself, that would probably work, as it did at this top section. I don't know what's happened here. These have been planted and this texture's come up. It's all gone haywire. It's all gone a bit peculiar. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing strange phenomena like this. That looks like it's been harvested, which is very strange. But yeah, this top section. So yeah, potentially, if you put 1 fertilising state down, in any way you do it, and then ridge and plant, or ridge and then 1 fertilising state, and then come to plant, because the planter is doing a fertilising state of its own, that seems to be causing the problem. That end section was no problem at all. No fertiliser, ridged, planted, then a fertilising state, no problem at all. So if you have experienced this, now this will, like I say, this will only affect people like me that like to get all their fertilising states done. I kind of like to get manure down or slurry down, whatever I'm going to do, before I put a crop in the ground. A lot of people will do it once the crop's in the ground, then they'll fertilise. If that's the case, it won't affect you. It shouldn't be a problem. And if you're doing 1 application rate at a time, it shouldn't affect you. It's double application rates, and it's putting them down before you put the crop in the ground, because like I say, I know I keep repeating myself, but I just want to make sure, you know, it's this that's adding a fertilising state, and I don't understand why. Now it might be it's only doing it on Western Wilds. It might be it's only doing it on my test map. If it is, I have absolutely no idea why. If yours is or isn't giving you a fertilising state, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be, but it just seems very peculiar. So what should happen now is I should grow these crops, and these two will be awful. So what I need to do now what I did when this one grew, once I realised, I tried to put fertiliser down on top and it wouldn't let me. So what I'm going to try now is, because that's taken the fertilising state off, I should in theory be able to put fertiliser on now, shouldn't I? I do the testing so you don't have to. So this could also be a problem if it won't take any. Right, it says it's taking it, but it's not putting fertilising state down. Right, so if you find yourself, you've done this, and you look at your ground and think, hang on a minute, I've lost my fertilising state. Once that's done, it's not letting me put anything down. I've got it on single application, nothing. So yeah, I would say single application rates between phases, or do it like I've done at this end. Do your ridging, do your planting, then put your fertiliser down, single application, and you'll be good as gold. And here we are, 4 months on. I meant to put red beet in the middle field. I put carrot again, so I've got carrot, and parsnip, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's how it stayed. I tried to put fertiliser down on these after, and it wouldn't work. The top section where I made the mistake, where I'd originally only put 1 fertilising state, that added a second, so that worked fine. This one was the one where I didn't do anything. I ridged, seeded, then fertilised, 1 fertilising state, that worked fine. And the end one, where I ridged, then fertilised, then seeded. Again, the seeder took those fertilising states off. So as you can see, fertilised 0%. This one's fertilised 0% until I get to the top end, and then it goes up to 100. because it put the other one on. And this one 100% across the whole lot. Now my yield bonus is saying plus 68 because this wasn't, didn't mulch it, it hasn't been lined, it wasn't ploughed. I put it down as a ploughed texture, so if I'd done all of those things as well, then my yield bonus would be higher, but I was looking more at the fertilising situation. So yeah, that's my advice. And if you do it already, if you do it that way anyway, that's fine, but when you're doing the new carrots, parsnips or red beet, make sure you ridge, plant, then do your fertilising afterwards. Don't do it fertilising first and then the other way around. Again, the caveat being, unless you're doing single application, in which case you should be able to do a single application, and then when you're doing the planting, the planter seems to be adding another application of fertilizer. That will give you 2. Precision farming, that's a whole different animal. This is just base game stuff I'm looking at the moment. So there you go. That's all the top tips, tricks, ideas, advice, information sharing that I've got at the moment. There's probably plenty more, and I'm not saying no one else has put this stuff out already. I haven't watched anyone's videos or anything like this. This is just stuff I've been sort of coming up with in my head, and a few people have messaged me and said, what about this? Have you tried this? Did you think about that? So I'm just putting it out there for everyone rather than me hoarding that information to myself. I might as well put it out there and let everyone know. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.